A breathing technique isn't going to fix a pattern that quietly costs you a month of your focus, your patience, and your leadership every single year. Welcome back. This is Dr. Lisa, Science Back, Soul Supported Day 7 of the Heat. And today I'll name the limit of everything I gave you this week. I'm going to close this week by being straight with you about the limits of everything I just gave you. I'd rather you really understand than leave you with a comforting idea that quietly isn't working. This week was real. The science is solid, but I don't think it's very motivational. Slower thinking, lost sleep, the shorter fuse, those can be measured. However, the interrupt, where you pause, ask the question, that works. The cool down works. If you take nothing else from the heat, take those, and you'll have a better hot afternoons than you had last summer. And none of it on its own changes a pattern. So here's the difference. And it's the whole reason I do the work that I do. A tip meets a moment. A pattern lives underneath that moment. If every single July your judgment narrows and your patience thins, your team feels that shift in you, then you lose a week on the back end to guilt about how you showed up. And that's not a moment you're having. That's a pattern you're in. And patterns don't dissolve because you watched a good video and took a nice breath. Breathing techniques, they're a wonderful thing to do at 3 in the afternoon, but it's not a strategy for recurring loss that costs you a month of your best leadership every. I want you to do the math on that honestly, the way you would for anything else that mattered. A month, some portion of your focus, your relationships, and your decision quality, and your team's experience of you eroded for a stretch of every year. Not because you lack discipline, but because the underlying relationship between your nervous system and stress has never actually been worked. You wouldn't run your business that way. You wouldn't let a known recurring predictable cost go unaddressed in any other part of your life. The only reason this one gets a pass is that it's wearing the costume of, that is just how summer is for me. Now, it doesn't have to be how summer is, but the change does not happen in a comment section or a feed. It happens in real work over time with someone who can see the parts of the pattern you can't see because you're inside of it. You can't read the prescription bottle label when you're standing inside of it. And certainly that's because you're too close, and that pattern is very good at convincing you that it's your personality. Well, this is what I do. We get on a call. I work with people one-on-one over Microsoft Teams, and we build it properly. The science for why your system does what it does, the structure to actually shift it. And on the other side, a steadier you for all the people whose day depends on your decisions. So here's my one request for the whole week. And it's a real one and not a soft one. If you're tired of handing a month of your year to the heat and the shame that follows it, just book a call. Stop white knuckling the same summer on repeat and let us change that pattern underneath. The booking link in the description. You can also find it at 5minutemindful.com. And that is the heat. 7 days, one idea. What you feel in the summer is physiology and not a character flaw. And physiology is workable. The tips were the doorway. If you want the room, I'm right here. And I'd be glad to do the work with you. That's today, and that's the week. If this gave you one easier breath, help me pass it on. Like, subscribe, and share. Hit the little bell thing. Drop a comment. I read every single one. Thank you so much for all of my subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you. Every share brings one more person into the Nez Zen community. And that's how we build this, one steadier day at a time.